Now, I'm not saying there's nobody who's different, but a lot of people, maybe even most people's ideas of what's true stops with political action. Now, I read somewhere in one of the magazines and makes something fluff about the Beatles. You know, the way the assassins dredge up old poems with the language of old poems of mine. Say, we'll make this nightmare real because the nightmare of the letters that was snuck onto me became, they say, real. It was a real world production of Night of the Living Dead or something, with naming the people who were behind the movie and stuff. And they get all the facts changed and tinkered with and work with Shulman and telling a whole bunch of lies to get a lot of dough. And I read, like they work on my mind by digging up old poems where I talk about you know, lungs going bad and stuff, and send me signals. You're next. You're going to die in pain. You're going to suffer. This is the chronic evil behind the letters, playing as the vindictive revengers. This was allowed. But people are invested in it. They'll look to a point at what's true and then veer off into their investment. So I was reading something in this junk where George Harrison said, well, he made a whole potload of dough on being in the gimmick he was in. And he asked his lawyer, does that mean I'm rich? And the dude says, on paper. You see, but I think there's more to it. I think that's sort of a philosophy that developed among, or even already existed in this crowd. But they said, well, JFK is president on paper. He thinks he's president. That's how Oliver Stone put it. He really thought he was president. And when you see Biden on the news right now, when I'm talking, which is in January, late January of 2022, all these other celebrity faces are cranking up in this talk and the editorials, this and that, to make it look like he thinks he's president. On paper, he's president. Then we have these insurrection rallies, a mob claiming to be more American because they kill innocent people. I mean, it's crazy. It's criminal leadership. That's why it compares to the fall of the Weimar Republic. But this notion, on paper, they believe, you know. And so it's the idea that, American citizens have rights on paper. But if you torture somebody, an innocent person, conspicuously molest them and maul them, kill their loved ones and terrorize people who try to help them, they have the right to be protected from those things on paper. But it doesn't, because people veer off towards their investment on this one. So the investment says all of these things, but it was coordinated. It's very hard to untie the reality from the coordinating motions that were at work. For example, that weird fascist Ronald Reagan is seen with some, I don't know, like a priest or something in New York or something, where he was he for some reason was in New York when John Lennon pulled his Houdini. And he's interviewed, what do you think? So it's a great tragedy, as though they were the same type of men, so they weren't political opponents. But they met, it turns out, in 1974 when the script was being written on Monday Night Football, supposedly Lennon getting the rules of football told to him or something. Well, the coordinated fact is that their script talks about the rules of something known as Pussy Bowl in 1974. So this is an illusion committee at work. And it reinforces the fact that, Reagan's attorneys had me in D.C. when he claims he was shot and he waves to me, right? So it's all coordinated. You have Yoko Ono's famous revenge for Japan on the naval fleet, forcing me to apologize for America's Victory at Sea, endorsed by Trump between Navy, by the way. And it's all coordinated. And you can't escape all of this coordination, you know. But people look at it to a point and then veer off in the direction of their politics, you know, and you know, tear down, you know, oh, you have diploma on paper. Well, we're taking the paper off the wall, you know, and it's craftiness. And I think that when we look at it from the point of view of what really happened, the way that it fits together comes down to like three more dead Kennedys. I mean, with the nightmare of the COVID operation. You know, so we have, if we're not going to look at it, you know, because they're more American than us and some, you know, we're supposedly the United States of America. Oh, on paper. Uh, I'm not too keen on this shindig, so to speak. I had nothing to do with the murder of John Lennon. I would never misuse words for sadism and evil. I have no idea who could possibly be behind it. You know, it's a nightmare. It doesn't make any sense that people would support it. I have no idea how they ended up supporting it.